welcome to the deep dive. So we got this really fascinating set of materials from one of you, actually.
Oh, yeah. What's it about?
Well, today we're getting into this concept the source calls the evolution revolution of love.
The evolution revolution of love. Okay, that's quite a title, isn't it?
It really is.
And the material doesn't just present it as, a warm, fuzzy feeling. It talks about it as the ultimate force.
Yeah, for creation, transformation.
Right.
Specifically where wisdom kind of merges with action.
Wisdom in action.
Exactly. So it's positioning this type of love as something, well, much bigger than just an emotion. These sources really try to unpack what this specific love is.
And how it supposedly drives change.
Profound change, yeah. Both inside you, personally, and collectively, across consciousness.
Okay. So our mission for this deep dive then is, well, we need to go beyond just a summary, right?
Yeah, likely.
We want to unpack the core ideas in this material about this powerful force, and how the source suggests you can actually, live it, apply it.
Okay, let's start with that definition the source lays out. It's really specific about distinguishing this revolution of love from, like, basic sentimentality or just fleeting feelings. So what is it, then, if it's not just that?
Well, what really jumps out is how it's defined as a profound state, an unconditional state of being.
Unconditioned, okay.
And the material ties this state to certain principles. You might think of thinkers like Dr. DeMartini here about seeing inherent perfection, balance in everything.
Everything, even the tough stuff.
Yeah, it's about actively working to dissolve those emotional charges you might feel about a situation or a person, and finding or perceiving a kind of divine order, a purpose, even in what you might label as negative or losses, right alongside the positives and gains.
So it's less about feeling lovey-dovey in the usual sense, and more about achieving a state of perception.
Yeah, a perception that actively seeks out the balance, the whole truth in any situation. It basically transcends judgment.
Okay, I think I get that distinction.
Precisely. And the source is really emphatic that this unconditional love is anything but passive. It's not just sitting back and accepting.
Right. This is where it got really interesting for me. The material calls it the most dynamic, creative force you can imagine.
Wow. Like cosmically powerful.
Yeah, it links it to everything from stars igniting, galaxies forming, all the way down to the life force inside us.
Inside us? How so?
It's what allows us to fully embrace, well, all of ourselves, even the parts we don't like, the messy bits, and to see the perfection that's kind of woven into our own unique path, our journey.
So it's fundamentally framed as the fuel.
No.
The fuel for inspired action.
Exactly. Not just feeling love, but letting that state actually guide what you do.
Okay. So how does this become a revolution then? How does it scale up from one person feeling this way to something collective?
Good question. The source suggests this revolution kicks off when enough people awaken to this balanced way of seeing things.
And start living from that unconditional state.
Right. It's not pictured as some external fight, but more like a quiet, deep transformation happening inside lots of individuals.
Creating a ripple effect.
Yeah, a powerful ripple effect in the collective consciousness.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
So it's this merging the wisdom you gain.
Yeah, understanding duality, seeing purpose in suffering, knowing your values, feeling connected.
Merging that with action, inspired action that just flows from that wisdom.
Flows naturally, yeah. Aligned with the highest good, as the source puts it.
The source uses this great analogy about a dragon.
Oh, yeah.
It says a dragon's real power isn't just the fire. It's the wisdom to know exactly when to use it, when to burn, when to just warm things up, when to illuminate.
Okay.
And this material presents this kind of love as exactly that wisdom in action, able to transform whatever it touches.
That's a powerful image. So if we try to ground this,
Yeah.
how does living from this state, this unconditional love, actually change things day to day, according to the source?
Well, it suggests your actions stop feeling like such a struggle, less forced. They become more effortlessly aligned with what you truly value and with what the source terms the universal flow.
You stop fighting what is.
Kind of. You become more of a conscious channel, a conduit for creation, instead of resisting it. The material even suggests things like manifestation can happen more easily.
Really? Why?
Because your intentions are clearer, apparently. They're less cluttered by that static of emotional resistance. You're more in tune, in harmony with the underlying order.
And your contributions, like at work or in relationships?
They come from a different place. From genuine purpose, maybe joy, like an overflowing heart.
Not from obligation. or fear, or needing people to approve.
Exactly that. Your whole way of being starts to demonstrate these principles.
You know, a really compelling point the source makes is that this whole revolution, it's not some far-off thing.
It says it's happening now.
Yeah, it describes it as a subtle hum, already here, beneath the surface of life, just getting louder.
Louder as more people tune in.
As more people embody this state. Yeah, the examples it gives are actually quite simple, but profound.
Like what?
Choosing understanding when you could judge. Choosing compassion instead of condemnation. Opting for collaboration over conflict. Seeking balance instead of getting lost in all the fragments.
So those choices are the revolution in action.
That's how it's framed.
Yeah.
Integrating these truths about balance and love into your actual daily life doesn't just change your reality.
It adds to that bigger shift, like collective transformation.
Right. Which brings us to this idea of ultimate mastery. As the source describes it, it's not about becoming, I don't know, perfect, like some flawless human robot.
No. It's more about realizing your inherent perfection. Seeing yourself as a divine being on a journey. That's the language it uses.
Living from that place where you see the balance in everything.
Understanding challenges as opportunities, yeah. Seeing every breath as an act of creation.
It's about becoming sort of the living embodiment of this unconditional love frequency, radiating it out.
And by doing that, you're actively participating in what the source calls the grandest evolution there is.
The evolution of consciousness itself towards its highest potential.
Okay, so that all sounds pretty profound, maybe a bit abstract. How do you actually do this? How do you put these big ideas into practice?
Good point. And the source anticipates that. It offers a specific exercise, almost like a final trial in the narrative it builds. It calls it the dragon trial, the love in action.
Ah, the dragon trial. Okay, so this is the practical bit.
Exactly. It's
Sure.
presented as the bridge, moving from just understanding it intellectually to actually embodying it,
Committing to a small, conscious act of this unconditional love.
putting the wisdom into something tangible, a loving expression.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does this trial work? What are the steps?
The source lays out 4 steps.
Yeah.
First one is choose a challenge.
Okay.
Think about someone or maybe a situation in your life that still creates some friction for you, where you might still hold a subtle judgment or feel an emotional charge.
Could be anything, like a difficult relative
Or
someone at work. Could be. Or even a societal issue that really gets under your skin. Or an aspect of yourself you struggle with. The source gives those kinds of examples.
So pick something something that still kind of hooks you. Got it. What's next?
Step 2 is critical. Seek the balance. And this is before you act.
Okay.
You consciously apply those principles. We talked about finding the equilibrium. You actively look for, and the source says at least 3, equal and opposite benefits or supports that this person or situation has brought you or could bring you.
Finding the hidden positives, even if it's hard.
Yeah, or the purpose it served. The goal here is to work it through until that emotional charge you feel starts to dissolve. You're aiming for neutrality, maybe even genuine appreciation for its role in your growth.
Wow, okay. That sounds like real inner work, actively trying to see the gifts or the lessons in something that feels purely negative until the reaction just lifts.
That's exactly it. Then comes step 3, act from love. You choose one small intentional action directed towards that person or situation.
Yeah.
But here's the key. The action has to be driven by that new balance, that unconditional love you just cultivated in step 2.
Not just any action, it has to come from that balanced place.
Right. The source stresses it should be constructive.
Yeah.
It should reflect that integrated wisdom you've accessed.
So what kind of action are we talking about? The source gives examples.
Yeah, it does. Could be something as simple as a genuinely kind word, a gesture of understanding, maybe just truly listening without interrupting or judging for once, or consciously choosing to release resentment, maybe offering forgiveness, even if just internally, suggesting a constructive way forward if appropriate, doing some small act of service, or even just deliberately holding that balanced perspective inside yourself without needing to make it a conflict.
Right. Those are all good examples from the source. They show what love in action could look like in this trial. It's about embodying the principle, a deliberate, conscious act.
Exactly. And then the final step, number 4, observe the ripple.
Observe the ripple. What does that mean?
The source asks you to just pay attention. Notice the subtle shifts that happen afterwards.
Shifts where?
Both inside you, maybe you feel more peaceful, lighter, freer, and also any changes in the external response. though the Source seems to emphasize the internal shift as the main point.
Okay.
You kind of reflect on how this one small act of love that came from finding balance first contributes, not just to your own immediate experience, but to that bigger picture, that ongoing revolution of consciousness we were discussing.
I see. So this isn't just abstract theory then, this dragon trial. It's like the practical bridge.
Yeah, it's how the Source suggests you can take these powerful ideas and actually embody them, actively contribute to this revolution of love through your own conscious, balanced actions, right here, right now.
It connects the inner work directly to how you show up in the world. Makes sense.
So, yeah, to kind of wrap up this deep dive, the central idea we pulled from this source material is that this revolution of love, it's way more than just an emotion, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's about cultivating this unconditional state of being. And that comes through balanced perception, actively working to see the inherent perfection, the purpose in everything.
And it's the dynamic fusion of that inner wisdom with inspired action.
Right. Which creates transformation inside you and also contributes to that collective shift the Source believes is already underway.
It's about finding that balance point, seeing the whole picture, the complete truth.
And then letting your actions just flow from that deeper place, that place of understanding and, well, radiant love.
You know, the Source really leaves us with a powerful, direct question. A call to action, almost.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It says, if it's true that the revolution of consciousness unfolds with every step you take, then what small act of balanced, unconditional love might you choose to take today to contribute?